My goodness, I finally got that set up. Sorry for the delay, and sorry for the several ons and offs. I was just trying to actually get my stream to actually be full screen as opposed to part screen like it was earlier. Anyways, despite what you're seeing in front of you, the actual title of the stream is of this video is correct. I am going to be working on this Citadel Finecast model. The actual title of the stream isn't the name of the model, though, because if you can see, there's a particular part of his first name that the letter combination Twitch does not allow. So I am just calling it Ogre Hero, or Painting Ogre Hero, or Ogre Kingdom's Hero Part 1. Anyways, let me get some of these Flames of War American troops out of the way by throwing them. They are getting painted as well, but not in the stream. Also, these orcs here, but they're not getting painted either. Not today. I do plan on doing some orcs, though, because I want to try a different way of doing metallics. And I was going to show you the experiment. The model I am painting today. This guy. And this piece, if you'll stand up, as well as this piece right here. There's more to them, but I'm actually just starting with the flesh today. So that is what you will be seeing. Flesh. Me painting flesh. This is going to be a higher level painting, and I just decided to do this on the stream for the hell of it. But there's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, going through my paints here. I'll pick out a base coat. Base coat can be anything basically, or any flesh coat tone basically. You just gotta keep in mind it's going to be your mid-tone. If I can find the one I want, maybe I can. It's close to me. Right now I just have all of them in a box because it's been using so many. That's a dwarf skin. His base coat's going to be dwarf skin. So put that on my wet palette. I'm going to grab a decent brush, but nothing too amazing. Just my number 2 Da Vinci Kolinsky brush. And I'm going to get myself some water. Pretty fitting. Make this some really about 2-to-1 water to paint for this step. You can go thinner if you want, you can go thicker. The thinner you go, the more layers you're going to have to do, but it's going to help. It's going to help preserve details. Then as you can see, we just start going over the flesh. At this step, you don't really have to worry about controlling the amount of paint on your brush either, because with base coats, you actually just want to make your paint go as far as possible. And don't worry if it looks blotchy a little bit. Because that's the reason that we do multiple layers. Multiple layers is going to help us get an even base coat. I've got this going over actually a gray primer, even though it looks very almost white. It is actually a gray primer. It's a very light gray primer. It's the Vallejo polyurethane airbrush primer that they make. It is a very bright gray. You actually almost don't need the white primer. It's that bright. You can preserve very bright colors. You can do yellows over this one. I just use the white one if I'm doing a really, really bright model, just because it's a little bit less work. If I want a very, very bright yellow. Like for instance, when I did a white primer over a Hell Cannon recently, even though I know it's a Chaos model and it's not all going to be a very bright color, but I did it over the Hell Cannon recently. Try not to let too much pool in there. Because there's going to be the main body of it actually is like glowing skulls. And so what I did for it was I took it, primed it white, and since the color I was starting with for it was yellow, instead of going in with a yellow paint and wasting some yellow paint, instead what I did was I took yellow ink and I stained the primer yellow, and it turned out really nicely. I'm actually very happy with how the Hell Cannon looks. If you go to my Facebook page, you can actually see some pictures of it. I think it's actually presently my cover photo. It's still in a non-complete form, but it is a picture of my Hell Cannon that I've been working on, that I have worked on. It's actually almost done. I have just the guys to do on it and the base work, basically. Let's see, is there any more flesh bits? I think these are flesh bits. Maybe not. Actually, you know what? Nope. That's not flesh, that's covered. Alright, in that case, just in case down here. Alright, let that dry, come back to it. Anyways, I don't play Ogre King, so anyways, I do want to apologize for my first stream that I tried to do, which was the freehand painting of the Chaos banner. If I take a break from painting this for a moment, which I don't know how far I'm going to get today, I'm just live streaming to live stream some painting because I've wanted to for a while. And because I'm not putting anything out on my YouTube channel at the moment. So I'm in the middle of doing a bunch of things, but none of them are finished, so nothing's getting produced. Or, you know, nothing's out because of that. So, option number 2. Grab something and paint it live. Right now, since this is just a base coat, don't need to keep in mind anything like where the light's coming from or anything like that, because that is what shading and highlighting does. This is just a color that's going to saturate the entire. And actually, at this present moment, it looks like I might actually have to do 3 coats. Maybe 4. We'll find out. And if you don't want to watch it, you got the idea of what we were doing, and you're sick of hearing me talk, you can always just, if you're not joining me for the live stream and asking me questions, you can always just fast forward. Yeah, because I don't want to listen to myself. I don't want to listen to myself. Otherwise, you'll hear me talking to me. Or, like, you'll hear me in the background of me talking. Alright, it's mostly dry. I'll wait for another layer. And with this guy, I'm not going to be working with, like, I'm not going to be working with, like, the Citadel washes. The actual produced washes. Not in this particular instance. I want a little bit more control over the appearance. So, to do that, you actually paint in the shadows. Basically, this is the type of work you get with higher level work, or with higher level commission work and higher level payments. Right now, it's worth more. You know, you get more for your money. Costs more money, you get more work, more hours, more time, more detail put into it, more care, more love. I definitely put love into this. I may not play Ogre Kingdoms, but I love to paint. I love how these models look. I think they're very handsome models. I think this is a very handsome model. A very handsome model indeed. I'm going to try to get a more regular schedule for streaming as well. The actual hour might vary that I do it. The actual days I do it, I'm going to try to make it more frequent. Present thoughts, Monday through, or Sunday through like Wednesday at the moment. That will be forever remembered on the internet. Isn't that right? I said, and that will be forever remembered on the internet. Just trying to embarrass you. What do you think? No, what you did. I don't think they probably didn't. Another saying, how behind every great man there's a great woman. Well, I have a great woman behind me right now. Literally. And she's great. I love her. But enough about her, because that's not why we're here. Yeah, I'm going to do a third layer in all these areas. For sure. I actually considering after I get the base coat on this guy done, perhaps actually attaching this hand to the model, because I only keep them apart to keep it out of the way of the painting, and this particular piece doesn't look like it's actually going to be too much in the way. In fact, it's probably not going to be. Alright, actually, all of these pieces still need to dry a bit. Alright, so anyone who watches this later on YouTube or Twitch wants to ask me a question, go ahead and ask me questions. I ask you a question. You can ask me questions anytime. That's of course. I'm going to ask you all a question, actually. What's the first model you ever painted? I would like to know what that is. And before you ask, mine was old, I want to say it was 5th edition Empire Archer. That came in the starting paint set. That big spider just decided to sit down in front of me. Hello, spider. Though compared to me, big for a spider around here. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna show you this, and my apologies because I screwed up and didn't pay attention to my settings, because apparently you need to go into your settings and opt in to actually record on Twitch. This is that banner that I painted. It's not like matte coated or anything, so you're gonna get shiniest from the like wash I did on it. But I just did some freehand on here, and it's really basic freehand, really quick freehand. But it was just a basic demo of how to do some really quick, just a really quick freehand that will get people to at least look at it and be like, "That's nice job." You know, low level freehand though. So as far as detail and blending, not extremely looked at, but it's good. I should do a heavy blow dryer for drying these faster. And I know this is Finecast, and people worry about this, but actually, is it plugged in? Yes. What's the problem? Finecast is not as susceptible to heat as you'd like to think. I'm trying to hold off on doing this because I don't. You really want that blowing in your face on the stream? The sound of it, not the actual heat. The stream was great until you pulled out a hairdryer. They just started annoying everyone. Pro tip: do you want to do commissions and you are worried about drying time, hair dryer. Hair dryers are great for helping you get stuff dry and dry fast. And if you can't tell already, as we go over this with more and more layers, the color becomes less transparent, and therefore less blotchy. Therefore, it looks like a base coat. Now, the only purpose for doing multiple layers, the main purpose, I should say, not the only purpose, but the main purpose for doing multiple layers like this, mostly is to preserve detail. And it actually works very well for Finecast because the selling point of Finecast is that they're highly detailed. So it's an ideal method of painting Finecast models, such as this one. Though I don't know if we're going to have Finecast much longer. Because frankly, it looks like GW has been very, very, very keen on moving away from Finecast. Well, the last few releases, I don't remember necessarily about High Elves and Eldar, but I don't think Lizardmen got any Finecast models. And what are you laughing at? Oh no. That is funny. Anyways. That's okay, it's live. It's a live broadcast, so I can get distracted. The production values are quite literally whatever is live. No, but GW moving away from Finecast. And rumors are for Tyranids, they're actually eliminating some Finecast sculpts in favor of plastic. So, yay for that, because I love GW plastic. GW plastic is some of the best stuff you can get for modeling. It's easy to do conversions with. It's more durable than Finecast. It's actually more durable than metal, because where the plastic will just bend for me, I've had metal models just fall to pieces on thin spots. Like anything that can move in the direction of plastic, any move in the direction of plastic, I'm all for. Because I'm not like some of those people who are like, I won't work with Finecast anymore. Because I've seen several people do that. Just come out and be like, Finecast, puh, no more Finecast. Too much work to even start painting the model. They're not wrong. That is a lot of work just to get to this point. I've gone over this guy a couple times to make sure that he had no like gaps left in him, and I still don't know if I got everything. Or holes and gaps and stuff filled. I just still don't know if I got everything. It's difficult to do. But I wanted to get him painted, so I didn't want to spend like hours on it. I realized there was recesses up in there that I wasn't really getting into. don't like where the paint is, just keep pushing it around. It'll get there. Also, keep in mind, when you're pushing your paint around on a model, you specifically want it to start falling in certain areas. Little strokes to that area and stopping and lifting off the model will help the paint rest on the actual spot where your brush comes off the model. So that is one way to get paint, especially thin paint, on the upper surfaces, to stay on the upper surfaces of your model. Like, I'm not worried about this parts right here. I look at the box. I think it's facial hair. Oh, those aren't. Oh well. They're gonna be lighter. They're gonna be gone over again anyways, but may as well get the base coat on there. Base coat's purpose is something to move up from. Make that difficult. That's almost like an edge highlighting area. So small, so tiny. One of the problems you run into with thin paints is, without a very small amount in your brush, it's just will go into the recesses. It will tend to go into the recesses. I'll get some more introductory questions out of the way. I'm going to ask you guys, because I want to know. I want to know about you. You come here and I want to know about you guys. That's fine. I like you guys. If you enjoy this hobby in whatever form, whether it's playing the game, the painting, just putting the models together, because there's nothing wrong with just enjoying constructing these models. I know plenty of people who will just put models together and be like, I don't care about painting them, I don't care about playing, just the actual act of putting them together is enough for me. Okay, actually, I guess that'll be my question. I had another question in mind, but this will be my question. What part of the hobby do you enjoy most? And what keeps you coming back? For me, I would love to play some game, but ultimately it's the painting. Because when I was younger, when I was just a little war painter, about 10 years ago, a little bit more. Actually, yeah, it's a little bit more at this point. I wasn't really that little. I was 15. 14, 13, I don't know. It's right after the, not the last time Dark Elves were released before this one, but the time before that. When I was a little war painter, I didn't know too many people who played. And I didn't drive, because I was too young to drive. So going to stores to play wasn't really an option, because I couldn't get my parents to have enough consistently open time for me to go 2-hour game of anything. So all I ever ended up doing when I was younger was painting my models. Looking at how dark the first the layers on this part of the skin are compared to the rest of it, I'm starting to think I'm going to just have to start concentrating on the other parts and then leave this one bit of him alone, because the base coat on this part is basically done. There might be a few places that I need to go over one or two more times. Another thing, if you're noticing varying depths in the color, you can always just go over smaller areas. Not waste your time in as much paint. So, when I was younger, basically all I did in this hobby was paint. I did take a little bit of a break from the hobby for a while. However, even taking a break from the hobby did not stop me from painting and doing art in general. I've always been a very artsy person. You know, taken art many times in college. I almost always in school was in an art class. So, even though I wasn't painting a model specifically, I was, developing my skill in one of my skills. So, I took like a 5-year break from this altogether, and I wasn't I was not that good at painting. If I were to show you some of my old models, which I really don't have them around anymore to show you, but if I were to show them to you, you'd be like, man, you sucked. And then you took a break and you came back, and what happened? The answer is, even though I wasn't painting models, I was still developing my skills. And that's the wonderful thing about art in itself. Skills in art can be applied. Skills in art, in any creative thing, any sort of creative medium. There are skills in every single one that can help you develop in almost every single other one. There are skills in painting that can help you understand and develop skills in music. There are skills in writing that can help you understand and develop cooking. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know for a fact there are. That's it. It's just kind of the inherent thing about art form. Even if it's just, it helps you express your personal creativity. Even if that's the only thing it's doing, helping you express yourself, helping you learn what your creative niches are, what you like the most about what you do in art. It will help you develop and be better in any other art form that you try to manage. And a lot of this is practice. A lot of people say practice makes perfect. That is very, very true. As I guarantee you, if I hadn't spent all that time developing my skills otherwise, I would be just as good as I was before I started, before I picked up the hobby again. I want to pull out my hairdryer again. I feel bad, because I feel like I'm going to drive you guys nuts. I need to get this guy's chest a little bit more. I guess I'm going to segue into my next question. How long have you been in the hobby? I'll be honest, actually, for me, it's probably been closer to 12 years at this point. Maybe even 13. Since I started. not counting the break. You want to count the break, 8. Maybe. But that's still 8, I don't know, that's 8 years of experience in the hobby. That's more than some people who do some of this stuff. And I should say this as well. I'm going to be trying to do one particular model for Spookytoberfest, along with some of the other awesome painters out there, like our awesome hobbyists out there, like Chuffy and who else is doing it that I know of for sure? Warboss Tay, who I still don't know if where he's at with his Baneblade. To be fair, if he doesn't finish it, that's fine, because he'll be at the exact same place I'm at, partially painted but not finished. Yeah, I just ran out of time. There's a lot to do on that model. I was hoping to get it to the point of at least being able to be put together and look like it's, you know, got most of the base work, base foundation work done, but there's just some parts of it that are not done yet. I will get back to it. I will probably get back to it after I do up some of my other orcs. Because the purpose of the Stampa really isn't to play with, honestly. The purpose of the Stampa is just to have a nice little centerpiece or to have a nice little looking centerpiece to go with the rest of these orcs. Something to draw your eye. Though admittedly, it's going to make it difficult to sell. Because I can't afford to just continuously accumulate models and not eventually move them to another owner, someone who can appreciate them much more than I'll have the time to appreciate them. Though the main reason for that is I like weird color schemes. And while they're not bad looking color schemes, they're not typical color schemes. So unfortunately, when you do something like that, suddenly you make the amount of people who will look at your model or look at your stuff dip slightly. I was trying to make this brush. It's been in the service of me for almost a year now. Still wet, looks like it has a nice tip, but it's actually really just a good brush for base coating. I gotta pick a shadow color. I don't want just dark flesh tone, because that is a little too simple, in my opinion. Thinking. something that's going to help draw your eye to it a little bit. And I think I actually have an idea. It does include dark flesh tone, but it's not pure dark flesh tone. Pull out my Imperial Blue. If I was within arm's reach of my big paint chest, I'd actually probably pull out my periscopes from Panzer Aces, but it is not within reach at the moment. What?
Wonder Woman is going to be Superman. Because if both have their powers, Wonder Woman would still be unuseful. She would still know how to fight, so she could effectively still be a crime fighter, or emotions on fire. She knows how to lead troops and how to use weaponry. Superman would probably just have another existential crisis about what it truly means to be a hero. Wonder Woman would just get on with shit.
And it's like that one Elseworld story where Superman just became an alcoholic after everyone lost their powers. And only tech-based superheroes worked. Though it wasn't very well explained, I'll admit. Anyways. Actually, I'm going to have to mix this up. But what I'm going to do is, for the first transition, I'm going to do a 50-50 mix in really light layers of terracotta and dwarf skin. And then for the darkest shades, I am actually going to add some Imperial Blue to the mix to add some visual interest. I didn't use dark flesh tone after all, because I remembered I had terracotta. This is a weird bottle. It's weird, oddly shaped. I have a couple bottles like that are all in the game color line, but they're just oddly shaped. And when you mix them, they sound weird. There's another one that's like that. Not that one. Here's another one. Yellow olive. I guess it's because it's flatter here, so when the paint hits it, it's making a more of a smack to it. What I really need to do is buy some beads and put them in my paint bottles. That'll help mix them up better. I know I have one more that's like that. Where is it? That's it. Oh, never mind. I thought Scurf Green was like that too. I am wrong. There's just a couple colors that are at the higher end of the numbers that looked like they were just like afterthought colors. Yeah, 64 and 65. That's what the numbers are for these. They're just like, we added these on to the end of it. First things first, though. I did say I was going to try to attach this hand to the model. I did not glue that in, the pin in, so. Alright, just like that, alright. Let's grab my, once I can find it, trusty glue. The hell did I put it? Oh, there it is. My Zap-A-Gap. Fortunately, I don't have one with the applicator, with the small applicator. But that's okay. Zap-A-Gap. It'll do. Anyway, I found out the other day that Zap-A-Gap actually makes a plastic glue called Plastigap. I did not know that previously, but that's interesting. I'll have to try that eventually. I'll do a review. If I do try it, I will do a review for it. Let you know how it is. Because let me tell you, a good plastic glue is hard to a good plastic glue is hard to find when you're used to going into Games Workshop stores, because all they sell is their glue, and their glue is crap. Their plastic glue is crap. It doesn't melt the plastic, it just becomes this little crystalline thing between the two colors, or between the two plastic pieces, and the slightest drop, it just snaps, it just, shatters. But the plastic, the glue just shatters. And at that point, it's like, man, it would have been better off using super glue. It would have held better. You can still snap super glue, but it still would have held better. I bumped my camera, and I dropped my brush wash. Anyways, gotta let that dry. All right, that probably is dry enough to actually start working. So, put down a drop of my dwarf skin, and make sure this is coming out very liquidy. I don't like that. I'm gonna try something. Yeah, that's very thick paint down at the bottom there. Yeah. That wasn't mixed very well at all. I just used the back of a brush. I guess it's kind of a waste. I should have used a toothpick. It's not like I don't have toothpicks within arm's reach. But about an equal amount terracotta. Alright, I'm going to refold this so I don't have the big blotch of wet terracotta just facing up on my paper towel. I'm just going to clean this off a little bit. I made a mess. Live streaming! I'm also going to put gloves on real fast. I paint all over my fingers. I don't want it to get on the models. Honestly, like, one of the hardest things to hide is actual, like, thick fingerprint paint marks. Honestly, even after several layers, I usually still see them. I'm going to use the same brush that I used before to mix these two together. I add some water. Getting a little bit thinner, so it's about 3 to 1 ratio. And this is going to be our first shadow color. Our first shade. And as I said, for the next shade, we are going to use some Imperial Blue in this. Get it more purpley looking. Oh, it is actually a little bit purpley looking now. So what we're hitting is the undersides of all this stuff. Paint up just the crevices. Paint down this way up into the crevices. Alright. I'm going to admit something. The color differential is actually very slight, so I'm actually going to add one more drop of terracotta to this. And actually let it be a little bit thinner too. Or not as thin. There we go. Actually, that's a bit darker. A bit closer to the color we want. Alright, it just wasn't quite dark enough to doing it for me. Like seeing it on the model was... I could barely see it on the model, and I was painting. Like these parts, we can almost just put it in there and let it pool. Just little bits of paint on the brush, and just pull it down to where the deeper shadows are going to be. Just pull it down into the deeper shadows, like away from the highlights. And by doing this, we can layer up this paint color where our shadows are going to be. Just going to poke like a wash into that one spot. Such a small area. Don't like the saturation you're getting of paint, or you think you've got too much, just use your paper towel that you've got on you, that you should have on you, because you're painting. You need somebody to dry off your brush, and dab it on there. Get a lot of that excess paint off. Alright. Now, like I said, I don't think this one arm is going to be in the way by putting it on. Like, funny I should mention that. Because this arm, which comes attached to the model, is more in the way than that arm ever was. Also, try not to drop him. That might be Finecast, but doesn't mean your models like it. So if you're just careful, sure to do thin layers of paint. And just pull it into the crevices, pull it into the deep recesses. We'll start to get a very, very subtle transition. Which is the look we're going for, a very subtle transition. What you want to do is come back, go over these places a few times. Very lightly to help yourself achieve these subtle transitions. I feel like Bob Ross. And if you ever feel like maybe you've overdone it in a spot, and your transition isn't smooth enough, the answer to your problem is very simple. What you do is you take the base color, in the case of what I'm working with here, the dwarf skin, and you go back and you'll go to the spot where you think you've done a little bit too much with your color. And what you'll do with it is you'll take it and you'll go from the edge of the darker color or lighter color, depending on the situation, and start pulling in towards where you're towards the center color again, and just thin layers. And by doing that, you can help yourself fix that subtle mistake and help yourself create your smoother transitions. So that is the goal of painting this way. Smooth, very smooth, subtle transitions between colors. And a lot more control over the appearance of your figures. Ultimate goal there is your control over the appearance. Ultimately, I'm going for a zenithal style here. So you can tell I'm not just painting into the crevices and the spots that are near places. I'm also painting just to the undersides of pieces, like the underside of the muscle. Because just because the underside of the muscle is sticking out from the bottom doesn't mean it's not still a darker spot, doesn't mean it's still not appearing darker on the flesh. If you understand what I'm saying. Actually, admittedly, one of the reasons why that is actually such an issue, that misunderstanding is such an issue, is GW's fault himself. They have a very, very particular style of painting, and in their style of painting, or I should say the heavy metal team style that they have the heavy metal team do, like here's a spot that I'm probably gonna have to come back and fix eventually. But what they have the heavy metal team do is they get them to paint almost like the light source is coming from every direction at the same time. And when they do that, they kind of hurt your ability to judge how shadows really look in real life. So they're not actually painting a realistic style. They're painting more of a comic book, like fakey style. Very very fake style. I don't like saying that, but it's true. I said before, you look what I'm doing. It's like you don't have to be extremely careful with painting here. Because this is mostly just a process of pushing and pulling your paint around. I hope I'm on camera for most of this, at least. As you push and pull the paint around, you'll eventually get it to the spots you want. As long as it's still wet, it's still malleable. You can still start trying. You can still push it off the spots that you're working on and into the places where you want it. Next question on the War Painters Parade of questions today. Favorite model. What is your personal favorite model? And I don't mean GW model. I mean of any system, any game system. It doesn't even have to be a model for a game system. Because, like, if you like the Infinity bootleg models, that's awesome. And they're made purely for the purpose of painting. So, if your favorite model is an Infinity bootleg model, let me know. I want to know. If you're wondering why I'm asking questions, it's because I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you. Because you're part of this community as much as I am. If you're watching this video, you're part of the community. Maybe even more so than I am. Because at this moment, I am just a guy sitting here painting a model and talking to himself as far as he's concerned. Because even though I'm live streaming, I have no idea when anyone's watching right this second. I haven't looked. I have not looked to see if there's been any comments or anything for a while. So if you've been asking questions, I do apologize if you've been doing that. Well, there's always two people watching. Well, there's always one person watching, I should say. Alright, let me rephrase this. It always says one or two. If you are you yourself are watching, it always says 2. Because one of it, I'm pretty sure one of them is Twitch itself. I don't think that actually shows up on your view counts though, for if Twitch is on there. But one of them is Twitch itself. Not to be confused with Rab himself, even though Rab himself is awesome. Get that drink and you drink it. You drink it good.
I'm looking for it. I haven't found it.
You heard what I said. Yeah, so the great woman behind me just confirmed that I am just a crazy painter talking to himself. I mean, obviously, if you're someone sitting here watching it on either YouTube or on the Twitch save, which hopefully I managed to make happen this time. If not, then I am going to cry. But probably not actually cry, but I will feel like it. I will man up and not actually do it, but I will wish that I do. I will think it. I'll think to myself, this is a sad moment, but I have to keep it inside. Gotta impress the girlfriend. Gotta impress the girlfriend. When you say those sort of things, you ruin the joke! You should be. I would say this is why you're not on any Let's Plays or anything that I did in the past, but that's not true. The reason is because you didn't want to be. If you can tell, there is actually definition starting to pop out of this guy. Personally, I actually am liking this. I'm liking the way it looks. And I'm starting with the skin because you kind of start from the lowest point and go up. For the most part. It's a little hard to tell on this guy. But it's the skin. It's a lot of models nowadays. It's a lot of models usually. It's the flesh. This one very obvious. It's the flesh. By the way, another thing, just so you know, you could always do this same technique with either thinner or thicker paint. Obviously, with thicker paint, the transitions are not going to be as smooth. And obviously, with thinner paint, the transitions are going to be a lot smoother. Painting 101. So, bear that in mind. It's like if I was doing this at a 1-to-1 ratio, this would actually be rather thick paint. And I would have to be a lot more careful with the application process, actually. Because with thicker paint comes more noticeable stuff. I'll admit, though, I am probably almost done boring you for the day. So, and I realize that this actually is not that much done. As far as this actual particular model is concerned. However, I do have other things I need to get done. And I had no intentions of live streaming those particular things, so that's not what I mean. I meant more work-related things to get done. She's playing Miss Innocent over here, but she's really not. She's really not. Here's Innocent as Harley Quinn.
As who?
Harley Quinn. The Joker's girlfriend.
I knew that.
Oh. She's as innocent as Harley Quinn, people.
Before she turned into Harley Quinn, I'm as innocent as she was.
I don't think Harleen Quinzel was that innocent, my love.
She was a psychiatrist. Of course she was innocent. What bad could they do?
She was a psychiatrist. She probably wasn't innocent.
I thought of being a psychiatrist.
I'm actually well aware of that.
And I told you that yesterday.
Mm-hmm. I know when you told me. That's why I'm well aware of it. No, I usually remember those sort of things. Anyways, I'm actually going to, even though I am not done with him, I'm kind of done for the moment. As I said, because I got other stuff I gotta get done. But this is the beginning of the Ogre. Next time I stream, expect something a little bit more basic, a little bit more simple, because the next time I stream, I'm going to be doing some stuff with my orcs. And you know the awesome thing about orcs? You get to be a sloppy warg! Alright, let's cut this. Have a good night.